So we do a small Mangalacharan. I mean, you did the whole Mangalacharan with these words. Just in compliment to your words. Shri Gurave Namah. Nam Shrishtam Manumati Satchiputram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasya Grijamaro Purimaturim Goshtavatam Radha Kundam Girivaram Radhika Madhavasam Ramtoyasya Pratitha Kripaya Shri Gurum Natasmi Vanchakaltaro Yascha Kripa Sindho Yevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Nikhila Shruti Male Ratnamaladiti Virajita Padapankajantam Ajimuktakulairupasyāmanam Paritastam Harinam Samshrayami Anarepitacharim Chirat Karunayavatiranakala Samarpaitam Natotvalarasan Savaktishyam Hari Puraka Sundara Dhyuti Kalamba Sandipita Sadharidai Kandari Spurato Vasachinandana Ajanulambita Bujukanaka Badatu Mankirtanai Kapitaro Kamalaya Taktaru Vishwambara Duyavara Jugadara Mapala Vande Jagat Priyakara Karunavatara Ladini Shakti Swarupaya Gauranga Suhridaya Cha Bhakta Shakti Pradhanaya Gadadhara Namaste Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinanandho Jugatpate Bhutesha Rupika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Radhe Vrindavanadi Shri Karunamrita Vahini Kripayani Jagadabjadasyanmayam Pradiyatam Bhaktya Vinaya Paradhakshay Yuktasya Gamadhi Tarangamadhi Kripa Maitum Sharanam Rapanam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Shri Sachinandan Gaurani Ki Jai Shri Harinam Guru Ki Jai Shri Radha Govinda Ji Ki Jai Shri Sadhuj Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakti Vinda Ki Jai Gaur Preman You're a little late.
I've got to go to the kitchen. I'd love to stay.
So, how much time do I have? I don't have any clock with me.
Okay.
There is any clock?
Well, an hour and a half. An hour and a half. You were going to speak till about 1. Or 1 or 1:30? It's midday.
1 or
It's
1:30.
12 now.
Yeah, 1:30.
So 1:30, is that
Yeah.
okay?
No, that's perfect. If it's okay for
Beautiful.
you.
Well, I have to leave, sadly.
You have to give time to the cooks. So,
Do you need help?
so it's 10 to 12 now?
Yeah, so you
Okay.
have to 1:30.
They say 12 and they say 10 to 12. I'm too sure. Okay.
10 to 12.
You don't trust me, Maharaj.
No. We were talking yesterday about Wales times and English. It's the same,
Yeah.
but maybe. Okay. So, good afternoon to all of you. You say good afternoon, 10 to 12? Okay, good afternoon to all of
Close
you.
enough.
Okay. Good morning to
Good
all of
morning,
you.
good afternoon.
Thank you so much. Well, Radha Priya left, but thank you so much to Radha Priya for hosting us, welcoming us, and for introduction, referring to the devastation of the heart. Interesting expression, right? And how, of course, devastation of the heart is it's never the end of the story, but sometimes it's required for it to be reborn among ruins, so to say, right? So many times these are the cycles, well, not so many times, always, these are the cycles of nature, the cycles of life, the cycles of reality, order, disorder, reorder, born, birth, death, resurrection, you name it, in whatever way you like. In our tradition we have this famous verse, Asatma Sadgamaya Tamasama Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Take me from death to eternal life. By the word eternal life, Amrita includes the word Mritya, which means death. If you want eternality, eternal life, there you have to embrace some form of death in order to gain a certain form of life. So, yeah, I'm not the only one, I'm sure, going through those stages. So I think it's very important to normalize death as part of the journey in all its forms, rather than being terrified at the face of death. And of course, the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, that's the template that we find, right? Arjuna, one sense representing us, he's terrified at the prospect of the death he's been invited to by Krishna. No? Though externally it may sound like he's been invited to kill the rest, to bring death to others, that in itself invites him to go through a certain type of inner death, a certain version of himself. And as we know, Arjuna at one point will tell Krishna, that's too much. I would prefer that they kill me right now here, than me dying to what you invited me. But of course, Krishna's invitation is not an invitation to die only, but we need to die so we can be reborn in all that we can be. So we are units of unlimited potential. That's what our tradition teaches. Each Jiva soul is Tatashta Shakti, which can be translated as we are units of potential. But in order to explore and actualize that potential in all of its potential, so many times we need to die. And I'm not still speaking about dying just biologically, but we need to die to many old versions of ourselves, to be born to a new level of potential. Tomorrow, a new level of potential is waiting for you. A new level of death is waiting for you. Again, new level of potential goes hand by hand with a new level of death to the outdated potential. That's what we call progress in spiritual life. How we progress on the journeys through by an ongoing embrace of a successive series of births and deaths forever. Every time Krishna plays the flute in Golok Vrindavan, that's an invitation to a new way of life and a new way of death. Every time the gopis hear Krishna's flute, they're invited to die to so many things in order to leave to the call ahead. So today maybe we can explore some of these topics. We can talk about, rather pre-emphasize this 4-letter word, L-O-V-E, that everyone can mention, everyone can write, spell, but the real thing is to live life as a love journey. We have this Sanskrit term, abhisar. In Sanskrit, abhisar means, sometimes it's more specifically related to Krishna's playing the flute, as I mentioned, and the gopis running after it, to the night, how to say night in English? Tryst? Yes. The night tryst? The rendezvous. So abhisar means basically that, a love journey. Gopis are here, so to say Krishna is here playing the flute, whomever he's playing the flute that night, never from the same place twice. It's not a predictable flute calling. No, it's not like, okay, we know Krishna will play the flute northeast 11:45. We always know that will happen. That no, and this will be the melody, and this will be how it will take place. No warranties. So Krishna will invoke his clarion call, his love call to each one of us, and inviting the gopis in this case, but by extension inviting each one of us to abhisar, to a love journey. So I think it's a beautiful way of thinking about life itself, as a love journey. Whether we are aware of that or not, that the gopis are quite aware they're running after the sound of the flute, after the loving call of the beloved. We may not be that aware yet, but still we are, knowing or not, we are running after the call of love, the ultimate necessity, the ultimate potential of the heart, and therefore the ultimate necessity of the heart. Our highest necessity is corresponding to our highest potential. I need to become all that I can be. And that's why it's so beautiful in Sanskrit, the word prayojan, which is used with prem, with divine love. Prayojan can mean the ultimate attainment or goal, but prayojan also means the ultimate necessity. Not only the ultimate necessity that I need to attain, but that thing that when I attain it creates a newer necessity of more of the same, more and more. Welcome. You can make some space here. We have the camera there. There's a camera there. Maybe you can stay. That's great. That's good. Yeah. I mean, someone can come here in between. Do we have light here? No. Welcome.
There's no more light. No.
Okay. No problem. We'll try to bring the light another way. There's one place here.
No, there's a chair.
A chair? Okay, they're bringing a chair.
Do you know where the chairs are?
My colleague wants to come.
Scott. Welcome. Thank you. Okay, let's continue not to disrupt the sharing. So we were mentioning how how life can be thought of as a love journey, an abhisar. Abhisar, this flute call of Krishna to each one of us, and how the gopis of Vrindavan, when they run about it, after it, they are quite aware what they are doing. We may not be fully aware, but still we cannot but go after the call of love, which matches our potential. The fact that we are units of potential creates a natural thirst to actualize that potential. That's a paradox of being a unit of potential, that we are something, but we can always become something more. That's what love creates. Love creates an ongoing thirst. You can always love more. You can never rest in love. You will never find the gopis, the Brajavasis, Krishna himself saying, I'm done with love. Right? I've graduated from the school of love. You can never fully graduate from there. You can always learn a new lesson and a new dancing step. That's it, an ever new dance. For everyone. For everyone. Love is orchestrating an ever new dance for everyone, God included. That's what we say yesterday. Krishna himself, that's his abhiman, that's how he defines himself. Radhikar Prema Guru Ame Shishyanata. The love of Radha is my guru and I am a student at her dancing school. So God is a dancing student. That's our God. Right? Who is God for you? A dancing student in the school of love. We have to clarify in which school. So that's the invitation to live life as a love journey, to understand life as a love journey, and to understand that the nature of that love is, in the good sense of the term, insatiable. You can always love more. That's the point I'm trying to make in the recent book I've written, Evolution in Divine Love. Basically, the idea is to describe love as an ever-evolving reality, which invites us to an ever-evolving love journey. Because we worship or we adore, I like more the word adore, a God, divine, that is basically absorbed in a love journey. Yesterday we were talking about that in our sharing, in our first meeting last night, referring to this famous verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Savaipum Samparo Dharmo Jatu Bhakti Radokshaye Ahaitukya Pratihata Jayatma Suprasidati. Where Bhakti is described as Ahaitukya Pratihata. Ahaituki. Bhakti is causeless. That's a very interesting expression because we have to do something with that. What does it mean that bhakti or loving devotion is ahaituki? It has no head to it, has no cause. There's nothing that produces it. It's the source producer of everything. And it's not loving for the sake of something in particular, but it's love for love's own sake. So it's causeless in that sense. It's not I'm loving you so this happens. No. In one sense, it has no purpose. Love has no purpose. Love is the purpose of purpose. Right? It's not that Krishna is loving so this happens. Krishna is loving because there's nothing else better to do than loving. And that's why he remains immersed in that reality, no? Radha, Krishna, Gaur Lila, it's all about a deep immersion in the currents of love. But, as I like to say, love is, okay, it's costless. That's some light?
Yes. Yeah.
It's okay.
I'll get around here. I can put it right next to you, Maharaj.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's okay. Thank you. Now some light is coming from the window. It's okay. So love is causeless. Bhakti is causeless. Ahaituki. Apratihata is unbroken. It's uninterrupted. It's uncontainable. That's how the Bhagavatam describes Bhakti. Ahaituki apratihata. It's its own source. Exists for its own sake, and it unfolds eternally, unbrokenly. So that's the bhakti we want to embrace. That's the reality of love, the love journey we are after. If we are on a love journey, means we are on a journey after love, and love is in a journey in itself. Love is in its own journey. So whenever we embrace love, we enter into a journey, into an adventure. We may like to use the word lila. Lila Sometimes we translate the word lila as pastime, and it's fine, but also lila means play. Lila can mean adventure. We say yesterday, one name for Krishna is Urukrama. He who takes very bold steps. Krama means like steps in Sanskrit, and Urukrama means he who takes very bold steps. And of course, it can be related to Bama and Dev making these 3 steps, very bold ones, very big ones. But it can refer to how the divine walks very boldly in life, in a very adventurous way. Brahma Samhita will say, what? In that realm of love, every step is a dance. That means to walk very boldly. If every step you make is dancing, wow, you're such a bold walker. Every word you say is a song, as the Brahma Samhita also confirms. Wow, that's very bold speaking. Very adventurous. So that's a God we adore. At which every step there is adventure, there is a call for adventure. So that's the nature of costless bhakti, costless love. But costless doesn't mean priceless. There is a price to pay to participate in this love journey. It comes without a cost. It cannot be earned. It cannot be deserved. We cannot earn credit to, okay, now I deserve love. One says love is undeservable. It's like too much to be deserved. The notions of deserving justice collapse in the face of real love. But still there is a price to pay. And there's an interesting one, I would say. So we were referring a minute ago, right? When Krishna plays his flute, he's inviting the gopis to Abhisar, to the love journey. Basically, the very first thing that Krishna is inviting the gopis to do, to participate in the love journey, is risk everything. That's the preliminary, the prerequisite to union with him. That's not the goal today. That's the warming up of communion with God. Warming up, be willing to risk everything. Be willing to put in the fire whatever you think is certain, as we were talking before. Be willing to die in order to be born again. Be willing to die to an old version of yourself with its old set of certainties, of securities, of status quo, of comfort zone. Be willing to put that into the fire. And we will say, no. There's a voice in our gut saying, no, that's risky. I will lose everything. What will remain? What will remain after that? Well, your real self will remain, actually. Your real self will emerge from the ashes of that fire you're entering into. And of course, all this I'm telling is a gradual process that may take lifetimes, right? So please don't think that this is something that one act performance. Like I do it once, I'm there. It's gradual. So we should do it in a way that is humanly sustainable for each one of us, but at the same time challenging enough so we do not remain in a comfort, complacent zone. Because we can also, let's be honest, humans have very big, great adhikar, great capacity for self-deception. So we must be vigilant about that potential for self-deception. But also we must honor our limitations and trying to, of course, push beyond comfort zone, but not too much beyond that it becomes panic zone. Well, like a friend of mine once made 3 circles. Inside was comfort zone, next circle was learning zone, next circle was panic zone. So you want to get to learning zone, but you need to leave comfort zone. But be careful of not ending up in panic zone. Neurosis becomes the norm. But sometimes I've seen that. We can see how the pendulum swings, and even in the spiritual terms, we may become too much entangled into comfort zone, too much security, too much certainty, too much predictability, too much, I would call that in Sanskrit pratishta. But what does pratishta mean in this case? Because pratishta, many temples say that's prestige, desire for fame. But pratishta also means, shta means fixity, something firm, like nishta. And prati means like at every moment. So to look for certainty at every moment, that's an anartha. Our tradition will say that's the worst anartha. The worst obstacle is to become addicted to predictability. I want all things to be put in boxes, order, predictable, controllable, measurable. We in Sanskrit call that Maya. Okay? Maya means that which can be measured. And Maya translates as illusion. No? So Maya is that which can be measured, which means illusion. In other words, you cannot measure anything. If you think something is measurable, that means you are an illusion. You can say, no, Maharaj, but I can measure this harmonium. Just bring me this, how do you call in English? This measuring...
Tape measure.
How do you call it?
Tape.
Tape measure. Bring it and I will give you the exact number. It's perfectly measurable. But that's only the appearance of the harmonium, the appearance of what the harmonium is. You just, instead of being in a tape measuring, bring it a good microscope and look at the harmonium beyond, scratch the surface of this and look what's on the subatomic level. At that point, you forgot about measuring anything. You are on a trip. So then you are getting closer to what this actually is. And you realize, oh, here I'm in an unmeasurable reality now. I thought it could be measured. The harmonium, me, you, God, we can put everything into boxes, label it, put it a name. This belongs to that compartment. This here, whenever I need it, I know where it is. I can pull it, point it back. I'm in control. But behind that is so much fear that things may operate in different ways, outside of my comfort zone. And again, all this is the things that we need to put into the fire as a prerequisite to follow Krishna's flute. Be willing to risk ultimately everything, of course. And at the end of the day, you will realize there was nothing to risk of actual value. The real value, if I'm following the call of the divine, I'm not risking anything really valuable. On the contrary. So love entails risk-taking. The love journey entails risk-taking. Again, just try to imagine Krishna, the gopis following Krishna's flute. There are so many risks. Not only the risk of, young women at their homes with their families, reputation for the family, for the village, married girls meeting with another boy in the forest, midnight, thick forest, wild beasts on the way. So many things can happen. And never the guarantee that they will meet Krishna. That's on top of that, if you want to add another layer of adrenaline. They are willing to risk everything without the ultimate warranty that they will be able to meet with Krishna. They will always do, mostly of the time, one way or another. But even if that's not sure, I'm not sure if I will meet Krishna, but the possibility in itself is enough for me to risk everything. The prospect of that type of meeting is enough for me to be willing to risk everything, even if it doesn't happen. Again, that's our goal to attain, so I don't want anyone to feel here discouraged, like, I'm far from that. It's fine. It's fine. You can be honest and acknowledge that, but also we shouldn't deny that that's the invitation that has been extended to us by parampara, our teachers and masters. So all this entails understanding what's real love. Again, because if no, love talk can be so cheap or can be so superficial. Everyone can say love, love, love. All you need is love, love is all you need. With all respect to John Lennon, of course, it's fine. I agree with that line. But then you need to play out the implications. What's that? What's love? So we say, the practitioner means I want security at every step. This is not the gopis' rhythm, pace. So it's Abhayatva. Srila Prabhupada's birth name, which interestingly he kept for the rest of his life, which is not common, right? Most of us will say Abhay Charanarvindam Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. But generally, of course, he was born Abhay Charan. Then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur initiated him with the name Abhay Charanarvindam. Still, that continued. And then he accepted sannyas and became Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, technically speaking. So generally, you don't continue to use your previous name. But he continued. Abhay Charan, he kept that. There are many reasons how we can explain that. But for me, it's very important, this word Abhay, right? Abhay means fearless. Abhay. Abhayatva means fearlessness. And ultimately, we are called to become that, to become fearless, to become risk takers for the sake of love, so to say. To understand that love invites us to, love invites us to to risk those things that actually, to risk losing those things that never belong to us. Something like that. No. Confirmed. Because many times we think, okay, this is mine, and then I'm afraid I may lose this. So then when you put that into the fire and you risk losing that, you realize, oh, that was never mine to begin with. Until I reach the point of risking to lose that, I cannot get the actual realization this was never mine. Right? And there are so many levels of this. Of this, how risk-taking takes us to a deeper clarity and certitude about who am I actually, and what is mine, so to say. So I like to say, nothing is mine, but I belong to everything. Nothing belongs to me, I belong to everything, which is a good deal. Sometimes we build our identity in what belongs to us, what's mine. And trying to become, instead of a human being, we become a human having. I have this, my house, my car, my son, my wife, mine. My spiritual realizations, my knowledge, my fame, my whatever, my Instagram followers. Each one has their own way of expressing their I, me, mine. Aham mameti, I, me, mine. Bhaktivinoda Thakur will say that's samsara. How you define samsara? Aham mameti. Your sense of I depends on what you think you possess, what you think you own. And then he says, the news are, you own nothing. So of course your sense of I is demolished by hearing that. And that can be dangerous, because if we don't have a sense of I, that can be very, destabilizing. So we quickly will say, again, you own nothing, but you belong to everything. And that's your sense of I. Your real identity has to do with belonging to everything. You already belong to the divine. We already belong to each other. We are mutually connected. So I don't need to own things. I need to go deep into my belonging. I don't need to, what belongs to me, try to go deeper into how you already belong. That's another orientation. And doing that, again, entails some form of risk taking, because it's putting into the fire things that we took for granted. And at one point, those things that we took for granted become obsolete, become outdated. I think all of us have gone through that or will go through that, just in case I'm giving you the advice, then the news. Certain ideas that we may have had about what it means to, I don't know, to practice bhakti, what it means to be a devotee, who Krishna is. Sometimes those are ideas only, not necessarily our experiences we are having. And sometimes we realize maybe the idea was correct, but I'm lacking the experience of the idea. Or at some point you realize, oh no, the idea was also not correct. So I need to get a more refined understanding. What I'm doing here, who am I, what I'm supposed to be. But for that I need to let go of the previous version that I have, what it means to be a devotee. Like Radha Priya was saying in the introduction, after that particular devastation of the heart she referred to, that was only one, there were others. But that particular devastation of the heart, that was a devastation of everything, basically, in one sense. And a devastation of how I saw myself and what I thought a devotee is supposed to be, and so many things were like demolished. It was like an extra quantity of dynamite. So now what? What remains? What? So deconstructing, reconstructing, dying, being born again. That's how life operates. It's okay. We should normalize these cycles, as we were saying before. So that's the price of love again. Love is costless, but not priceless. And the price is the willingness to put into the fire those things that we still think are so real and valuable, and probably they are. And when you put them into the fire, they will become even more real and valuable. Whatever is real will become more real. Like if you put gold into the fire, proper treatment, the gold will become more pure, more valuable. It's not that it stops being gold. Gold becomes more gold. So whatever gold you have, I'm not speaking literally, whatever gold you have, be willing to put that into the fire. If there is something that is not gold, the fire will consume it, and it needed to be consumed for us to realize, okay, that was not gold. That was something else that needed to be burned to ashes. And if there was something gold, valuable, the fire will make it even more valuable. That's how the gold is refined. Fire and some hammering, no? Some carving, no? You need some hits here and there. So sometimes life circumstances, again, we can call that heart devastation or however you would like to call it. But that's part of the alchemical process of finding the ultimate value of things, ourselves. Entering into the fire. That's a very, I always like the word fire, because that's the very first word that sounds in the universe, according to us. That's the very first word that Brahma heard when he was in the lotus, trying to find meaning and purpose in his life. He heard the word tapas, 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 tapas. Sometimes translated as austerity, but tapas means also fire. Because it's a form of fire to do austerity. You're entering into a fire, the heat. Something is to be burned up, and some light will come from it. So Brahma heard the word fire. That was the first word in the universe. It put the whole cosmic unfolding into context. This whole universal thing is about fire. It's about and Brahma heard fire, and again, he didn't look for a lighter, a candle. He didn't pick two sticks, and fire was created for the first time. He closed his eyes. he dove in. He dove in. He became introspective. That's how he understood the word fire. Interesting. Imagine you are walking and you hear the word fire. Probably most of us will get terrified. Oh, something is burning up. Let's run away. Fire! We don't want anything to do with fire. Let's go to whatever fire it's not. Brahma heard fire. He stayed where he was. And he closed his eyes and embraced the fire of introspection, self-awareness, reflection, looking inside. He closed his eyes to start to see, paradoxically, right? He started to see with another set of eyes. So again, fire in itself burns what needs to be burned, sheds light on whatever needs to be shed light on, gives the necessary warmth we need to receive, all at the same time. So this abhisar, or this love journey we are invited to is all about that, right? Again, it's all about being willing to embrace a particular fire, and there are gradual fires. Again, every single day we have to embrace some particular type of fire, some particular type of introspection, of releasing, of putting something into the flames to see what remains and what's highlighted. Okay, that's what remains. Everything else was appearance, covering, packaging. This is substance. No, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur say we are saragrahi. We want to be saragrahi, which means someone who only grasps the essence of something. No? Whatever is superficial, external, we don't want to get distracted by that. We want to take the essence of something. That's a daily discipline. No, it's not that someone gives me once that title. Okay, now I'm a saragrahi, like card carrying saragrahi member. Here I am. It's a daily. What's the essence here? What's the essential way of understanding this situation, this emotion, this experience? What's principles? Which are principles? Which are details? Which is form? What is substance? What is fire? Putting everything, testing everything into the fire to see what remains and what shines on a new level, new light. Right? So that's the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. This beautiful verse, many of us may know. But again, we need always to play the implication. Sarva dharmam parityajam amekam sharanam vraj. Ham tvam sarva papi vimokshaisyami master. Where Krishna is telling Arjuna, abandon, literally he's saying, abandon all religion. He's like, oh, what? Abandon all dharma, or all sense of dharma. Mamekam sharanam braja. Srila Siddha Maharaj's explanation to that verse is very, very special. Because he's saying, actually this verse you ultimately is speaking about the gopis' surrender. They leave behind all what's normally known as dharma, dharmic, religious, proper. They're willing to risk all that, to throw all that into the fire for the sake of Mami Ekam Sharanam Braja. Come exclusively to me. And Braja means to go, but Braja also can mean Braja, Vrindavan. So come to me as I am in Vrindavan. Follow the call of the flute, which is in Vrindavan. Krishna doesn't play the flute outside of Vrindavan. Krishna goes to Mathura, goes to Dwarka, but flute, he's inspired enough to play the flute in Vrindavan. So abandon all religion. Imagine that sounds shocking. That sounds like scandalous. After all, this book on Dharma, the Bhagavad Gita doesn't start there, of course. You go to chapter 3, Krishna will tell Arjuna, follow your Dharma. Be a good boy. Behave well in society, act according to your vocation, all that. We are building a case here. No? We're trying to make a point. It will take a few hundred verses. So we begin with Be a balanced human being in society. You have this vocation, act according to that. Don't be irresponsible, for God's sake. Because Arjuna wanted to run away from the battle. Krishna says, no, where are you going? Come here. But then, after saying, follow your dharma, the conclusion of the Gita, he's saying, reject completely all sarva dharma, all dharma, parityaja. Tyaja means renounce, reject, and pari means all around. No? Like when you do parikram. No? Kram means steps, and pari means around. Parikram means when you circumambulate something, so you all around you walk. Pari prashna, you inquire all around. Here Krishna says, sarva dharma parityaja. From every possible direction, reject all religion. It sounds like, wow, that's atheism. Or I thought Richard Dawkins was a staunch atheist. But this sounds even, he will like that verse. So again, what Krishna does say, of course, he then quickly clarifies that, Mam ekam sharanam braja, and come to me exclusively, as I call you in Vrindavan. In other words, whatever gets in the way of that, even if it's religion, throw it out of the window. That's the conclusion of the Gita. Again, starting there may be too much, but concluding there, it's never too much. So Krishna said, whatever, even if it comes in the garbs of religion and purity, if it comes in holy robes, if it gets in the way of Mamekam Sharanam Braja, come to me exclusively in Braj, Sarva Dharma Paritya. Reject all that absolutely. And that's what the gopis are doing. They are rejecting social behavior, they are married, they are living behind family, everything. All consideration, all risks taking. But, again, it seems immoral. The gopis are not moral. They are not bound by morality. They are breaking all the rules of morality. You study all these Dharma Shastras, Manu Smriti, all that. Gopis are like setting all that on fire in a second. But they are not immoral. They are transmoral. They are somewhere else. They are way beyond the superficial idea of what it means to be a good person. They are so good that again it looks like something else, but that's who they are. So Krishna is concluding the Gita on that high note, telling that to Arjuna and all of us. Take full risk. Be willing to sacrifice everything for the sake of love. Be willing to reject even religion, even what you knew as religion, even what you knew as your religion. Be willing to reject all that if at any point that gets in the way of falling in love with me. So sometimes we have to follow many rules, and at some point we may need to reject some of those rules if they are getting in the way of the final rule. Smartavya satatam Vishnur, Vishmartavya najatuchi. Always think of Krishna, never forget Krishna. That's the final rule. Fall in love with the divine. Sarve Bidhi Nisedasur Etayoreva Kinkara. All the other rules are to serve that principle. Fall in love with the sweet absolute. So that's the high note of the Gita. Right? Full risk taking for the sake of love. And of course, Krishna knows. After saying such a thing, most of us will be probably terrified. What? Abandon completely all religion? So that's why he said, no, the next two lines come to like calm us down a little bit. He says, like, if you do that, I will protect you from all sinful reactions. Don't fear. Don't fear. Master Child. Because he knows we are fearing. We are fearful, like risk taking everything for the sake of love. What will become of me? I may end up in a limbo. Krishna says in that verse, relax. Master Jaha, do not fear. I have you covered. If you do that, I'm covering all your directions. All your directions. That's the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, and that's interesting, as our acharyas will say. That high point where the Gita finishes, that's where the Srimad Bhagavatam begins. Just for you to imagine, wow, that's the conclusion of a book. Okay, I have enough with that for some time. Well, to speak of a book that begins building up from that momentum, begins on that note in verse 2. The Bhagavatam starts saying, Dharma Prito Kaitavotra. In this book, we reject all cheating religion, all cheating in the name of religion. All that is rejected for the sake of the ultimate benefit. Verse number 2. And there are 18,000 verses waiting for you after that. Wow, what's this? Fasten your seatbelt, my dear. Again, all that culminates in the Rasa Lila, right? The flute call of Krishna and the gopis. Again, the Rasa Lila is in one sense the conclusion of the Bhagavatam. As the verse Sarvadharman Parityaja is the conclusion of the Gita. So the two are basically saying the same thing, but then in the Bhagavatam we see a very embodied example of that. What it means, Sarvadharman Parityaja, leaving all religion, completely rejecting all notion of morality for the sake of the exclusive shelter of Krishna Vrindavan. Then you have 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, Braja Lila, and particularly Rasa Lila. And at that high point of the Rasa Lila, of course, there is the high point inside the high point, which is when the gopis follow Krishna's flute with all risks taken, without any warranty, any security, but passionately fascinated, running after that clarion call. And of course, as we know, Krishna receives the gopis and he tells them, oh, what are you doing here? And the gopis are like, you called us. We heard our names in this flute sound. No, I was just rehearsing my flute playing. And I am a single boy in the middle of the night. What will the village think if they come to know that a group of married ladies are here? You got to return to your home. That's how Krishna welcomes the gopis. After they risk everything in their avisar, in their love journey, they are met with another layer of paradox, with another layer of like, what? Unpredictability, what to do now? And they start an argument, right? That's the famous section of the Bhagavatam known as Pranaya Gita. The gopis argue with Krishna why they are there and why they should be there. And Krishna is defeated in argument. And they start Rasa Lila, the Rasa dance. They start to sing and dance and celebrate existence. But Krishna still feels this could reach deeper heights. But we need to churn this ocean a little bit for that to happen. So at one point of the celebration, now you can feel, okay, after hearing the flute, taking a risk, escaping my home without my family noticing, that going through the thick forest, meeting this charming blue guy at night, and he sending us back home, we defeating him in argument. Finally, we reach there. We are doing Rasa Lila. And when the gopis reach that conclusion, Krishna disappears. Right? Again, you reach a point of certainty. Okay, now we got him. Oh yeah? Now it's there. It's safe, it's secure, it's controllable. It's predictable, it's here. We did it. Krishna's like, too boring. We have to get this whole thing to a new level. So then he disappears, he throws the gopis into a pool of separation, of agony, of churning the heart in separation. And as we know, they start to run like mad women throughout the forest, asking about Krishna to every single creature in the forest, to the bumblebees, to the bee, to the birds, to the deers, to the plants. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? They're seeing Krishna everywhere. They start to imitate Krishna's pastime. They're like a band of mad women, basically, in the forest. And Krishna's witnessing all that, witnessing how their love starts to blossom more and more in separation. Then they get together. As we know, they find this, how do you say? Footprints of Krishna plus someone else. Who is it? Someone else. And they found Radha. And Radha was abandoned by Krishna. I mean, there are many ways of explaining each one of these sections. We don't have time today. But there are all degrees of complexity that needs to be integrated. So the gopis, okay, Krishna is not here, disappear, let's find Krishna. Okay, footprints, some hint. We are finding Krishna. Oh, there's someone else with Krishna. Another layer of perplexity. Who is that other? They find the other, but the other is there, but Krishna is not there. So another layer of complexity there. And they get all together and engage in the Gopi Gita. They start to do Sankirtan, basically. Interesting. They do satsang and Sankirtan, which we are supposed to do on a daily basis to deal in our own way with our own form of separation from Krishna. One way there is a sense of separateness is still in our mind. So how we cope with that, getting together, celebrating, singing, what we do. Sadhu Sangha, Sankirtan, that's what the gopis do. They meet with Sri Radha. And Krishna is watching all that behind a tamal tree. How the gopis are singing in separation. Krishna has a dark hue, so he's camouflaging himself behind a tamal tree, who has the same color as his own hue. That's why one name of Krishna is Tamal Krishna. It's Krishna merged behind the tamal tree, witnessing the glory of the gopis' love flourishing in separation, especially the heart of Sri Radha. And then eventually Krishna reappears, long story short. And the only thing he has to say, it's what we mentioned yesterday briefly, is that, okay, I've witnessed all that you've gone through from a few hours ago when I played my flute, right? And you were willing to risk everything. And that was, again, the warming up, the preliminary warming up. You're willing to risk everything. You did it. And then you went through so much for my sake, for my love. You risked so much. Then you met me. I sent you back home. You defeated me in argument. We stayed. We started Rasa Lila. I disappeared. You looked for me in divine madness. You found my footprint. You found Sri Radha. You joined her. All of you dying in separation from me. I've witnessed it all. And I now have no words for the quality of your love. The only thing I can say is Napari Ham Niravat Jasanjujan. So Sadhu Kritya Vibudaya Sapiba Jamava Jandur Jarageha Srinkala Sambrishchatadba Pratyatu Sadhana. Krishna is saying, the glory of your love is such, I cannot repay it back. I've said that in the Gita, Yatamam Prapadyantitam Statai Bhavajamyaham. According to how you love me, I reciprocate. Well, that was in the Bhagavad Gita. Here we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is contradicting what he said in the Bhagavad Gita. The Gita says, if you approach me, I reciprocate accordingly. But the degree of your approach, Krishna said to the gopis, I cannot reciprocate that. It's too much. Even for me. I'm God. Love is too much for God. So Krishna declares officially, I'm an eternal debtor. I'm eternally in debt with you. And that's, Sanatana Goswami explains that verse saying, at that moment Krishna says, and I will come, even though I cannot pay back, I cannot reciprocate with your love. You love me, it's too much. I will try to repay back, to do something about it by coming once every day of Brahma as a sadhu, exploring your heart and trying to make devotees for you, which is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gaur Lila. And we are here today as a result of the Gaur Lila Mahaprabhu. So we are a byproduct of all the things that I've just told you. We are as a result of that, as a consequence of this. So now we need to the only question that we have to is so what to do about it. You know, I'm here as a result of that. How to now? I'm here as the result of Krishna trying to pay back the love of his devotees. I'm a result of that, of Krishna trying to pay back. So now my question is how I pay back to Krishna's attempt to pay back. That's basically our life of service. Mahaprabhu is Krishna perpetually trying to pay back Radha's love, the gopis' love, his devotees' love. And he finds there is no way I can do that. That's why Gaur Lila is eternal. It's an eternal attempt to reciprocate love. But love keeps increasing. So the depth keeps increasing. The love depth keeps increasing. And we are invited into that, to participate into that love journey, as we say in the beginning. That's a love journey. Anyhow, some thoughts I want to share with you regarding love. All this was about love, right? Just again, it's all about this 4-letter word that we need to explore letter by letter, and in the spaces in between each one of those letters, so we don't take love for granted, bhakti for granted. All this is just, and this is just we are just touching, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, we are touching one point of an infinite line here. You can never say it all about love. You can never say that. As I quote in my in my recent book, when Rumi, Sufi mystic poet Rumi, he says, one day I tried to write the word love and the pen broke. Even trying to write it, what to speak, trying to define love, to say something about love, just try to write the word. Love resists closure. No. Definition, being put into a box. No, it has to remain outside of the box, outside of the norm, we will say. No. That's interesting meaning of the word ecstasy. Ecstasy means outside of the norm. That's the actual meaning of ecstasy, etymologically. So, you want ecstasy? Well, there's a price to pay. Yeah. I'm not remembering if my deadline is 1 or 1:30. It was 1? What was said when Radha Priya left?
Well, she kind of left it open-ended, but 1:30.
Maximum 1:30. So
Maximum 1:30.
Yeah,
We have some time.
Yeah, still we have some time. So I don't know if there are any questions, something you may like to ask about, or some, not only questions, but also sharings, comments, reflections. We can spend some time sharing.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. If it's okay, could you bring some clarity to you were saying about the sacrificing of everything? And the first thing that came to my mind when you said that was almost like an immature state of sacrificing everything. From like you have a conception of what devotional service is, and you know I'm sure there's many people who've experienced kind of giving up everything for service to a level where it almost becomes like paradoxically toxic, and or we realize that we lack the human qualities. And I mean, even with myself having a long journey of realizing, being afraid of the world, not wanting to interact with the world, wanting to run off and be in the forest and just ask Krishna, but like, that's not where I'm at.
Yeah.
But then there's like wanting to give up everything, but there's things of almost having to gain things and giving up things. By like interacting in the world. Or so I was wondering if you could bring more clarity of like what does that actually mean in terms of wanting to risk everything.
Yeah, and thank you. And that's of course why I mentioned that's kind of the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. Abandon everything, risk everything for the sake of. That's the conclusion, right? It's not verse 1, because if that would be the case, Bhagavad Gita will not be as popular as it is. People will like, I don't read in this book. Verse 1. And in the beginning again, Krishna is telling Arjuna, follow your duty. In other words, be a balanced human being in the world. And eventually, you can risk everything for the sake of love, which doesn't mean to reject the world, which doesn't mean that to, which is an important point. It's all an internal change. It doesn't need to change externally, no? Because sometimes we hear, or we think, okay, the conclusion of the Gita or the conclusion of practice is, if I'm in my house, if I'm married, if I have kids, all that I should live for Krishna. Like if the two were opposites, right? And in the beginning, we may carry sometimes this like dualistic dichotomy. Okay, here is Krishna, the call of love, and here is whatever, family, home, work, health, but they don't need to be separate things. All that can, I mean, again, going back to the devotees that love Krishna in the spiritual world, most of them live in their houses with they're not sannyasis. No, they're not monks in Golok Vrindavan. Right? So it's not that we need to reject family or the world. Not what we need to reject is the false relationship we are building in our own minds with us as the center of all that. Right? And it's a gradual thing. But I agree that many times if we overemphasize, I don't know, risk everything and sacrifice everything and give everything, if it's not this emphasized and described in a nuanced way, that can become toxic, can become dysfunctional, that can become spiritual bypassing. Right? In the name of renunciation, I'm being too transcendental. I'm skipping many valuable lessons about how to be a proper human being, how to take responsibility for myself, how to be emotionally, psychologically balanced, because all that has to be there to offer to Krishna. You know? If I work on my mental health, to give an example, is so I can offer that to Krishna in the best, the most suitable way, so to say. So there's a place for that. Excuse me if my presentation today didn't sound like that, and it sounded like too wild, like just risk everything, and it doesn't matter. That's not me. I mean, you may have heard me many other times trying to go to the other side, but the two sides are necessary, right? Because also it's not just, okay, become psychologically balanced and that's the goal of life. No, that's not the goal of life. No. But we need a healthy psycho-emotional vessel to experience spirituality in a humanly sustainable way. You know? Because again, we want to preserve our humanity as along with our divinity or spirituality. You know? That the two of them are to be consorts of one another. Right? Because our lila in loving Krishna, Radha and Krishna, is nara lila, which means human lila. We're talking about that in the car coming here, right? Human lila. Krishna is fully human, Radhas are fully human, and fully divine, both. So we don't want to just pick one of the two. Okay, I'm for the fully divine. So the price is I have to stop being human for that? No. So yeah, we have to take responsibilities. We have to acknowledge where we are. No? That's yesterday we mentioned that from the Gita. Again, this is the beginning of the Gita, and it's important to understand there is like a sequence of proposals presented in the Bhagavad Gita. So there is a conclusion, but before jumping into the conclusion, you need to understand what's before that to build up in a sustainable way. So when you reach the conclusion, you do it in a functional way. Because we just leave everything and just risk everything for Krishna, and who knows what idea we have. But when you go back and see Krishna telling Arjuna, you better perform your duty imperfectly, that someone else's duty perfectly, it's another way of saying, accept where you are in the world also. Accept which are your capabilities, physically, mentally, emotionally. Learn to accept yourself. Now Krishna is teaching self-acceptance there. And that's a very healthy foundation. Many times we become obsessed with, again, loving Krishna purely, and we hate ourselves. And that's not Bhagavad Gita. No? Krishna is saying, try to learn to accept yourself, imperfections included. And on that basis, we can work on the imperfections. But first, accept where you are, wherever you are. Learn to accept that. If you are in denial of that, many times even this idea of spiritual progress, of growing and progressing and advancing, can be a symptom of how little I accept myself. I reject myself so much that I need to see me as perfect. I need to see me as super advanced because I cannot bear where I am, who I am. Many times that can happen. That can be the main motivator for advancement. I hate myself. I don't bear being like this, so I need to be that. So it's a very negatively oriented practice. Why do you want to be pure devotee? Because I hate myself. Oh, okay. That doesn't sound too loving, not too positively oriented. So how we can learn to accept ourselves, be at peace with where we are, and from that change what we need. So we engage in bhakti for the right reasons. No, not because we hate ourselves, not because we want to even escape this world. Our tradition is not about mukti. It's not about liberation. It's not about leaving this world. Mahaprabhu says in 4th verse of Shikshastakam, what? Mama janmani janmanishwari bhavatat bhakti dharitapitri. I don't care coming over and over again to this world. It's not a problem. As long as I can engage in bhakti, haituki, he uses the word again, haituki as we're spelling today, costless. That's the most important consideration. Then send me whatever you want. I don't care. So we are not practicing bhakti because we want so badly to leave this place. We are not practicing bhakti because I hate who I am and I need to be pure and perfect, and only them will like me. Or we don't need to practice bhakti. Another misconception is, oh, I have to practice bhakti and become a devotee so Krishna loves me. Krishna already loves you. With all your imperfection and all your stuff. He already loves you unconditionally. So why then I'm practicing bhakti? To love Krishna back. To return the embrace. The embrace has been already thrown to us. That's why we can be practicing bhakti. Because we already been loved. So there are many misconceptions that maybe there as practitioners that we need to get rid of, so our practice becomes very healthy and sustainable and realistic. And on that foundation, yeah, we can risk everything for the sake of So yeah, today I felt inspired to go in that direction, but of course that doesn't cancel so many other things that need to be said about how to build a healthy, emotionally, psychologically balanced spiritual practice. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yes.
Something like love yourself before you can get to love others and Krishna.
That's a good one. Thank you. And of course, love yourself before you can love others and love Krishna means, for me at least, I don't try to love myself in a selfish way, no? Like, I love myself so much. I'm so unique. I'm so better than anyone else. I love. That's not very loving. That's bordering narcissism or something. But if I know that Krishna loves me infinitely, I can love myself knowing that he loves me. Because sometimes it's hard for us to love ourselves. But if you know that, oh, Krishna already loves you, oh, so I'm lovable. You know, Krishna is finding in me someone lovable. So he loves that. He loves who I am, in essence. I need to love what he loves.
Like security.
So love myself in the context of Krishna loving me. No, that's I think that's a healthy way to put it. I love myself because I love those things that Krishna loves. And I'm one of those. I mean, I'm not a thing, but you follow my point, right? Because Prabhupada will say, no? Srila Prabhupada will say, if you love me, you love my dog. Like implying you love the things I love. So if I love Krishna, I have to love the things or the people or the whatever Krishna loves. If I want to love Krishna, I have to love the things Krishna loves. And I be loved by Krishna. So I can love myself as the beloved of Krishna. Right? Which is, I'm not saying it's easy, yeah? Sounds nice, romantic, but in practice it's difficult, because we will see that there are so many other voices that still are not self-acceptance, are not self-compassion, are not self-love, are like, you are not good enough, it's never enough, sometimes you are worthless, you are unlovable, you are unloving. Sometimes those voices are there, or who knows where. Past life, childhood trauma, abuse, dysfunctional relationships, so many scars we may be carrying, and we need to heal those. Because if we don't heal those, our relationship with Krishna may be a projection of our unresolved stuff. So I may be just relating to God as I related to my emotionally absent father, if that was the case. Trying to hey, Daddy, see me, trying to get his attention, like if he's not seen me already. No, we are fully seen by Krishna. So that's why we need to heal that pattern and realize you are fully seen, fully accepted, fully loved, right now, right here as you are, and build on that foundation. No? Don't try to make your life and your practice desperate attempt for Krishna to love you, to see you, to accept you. That's already happening. So don't waste energy in something that is already happening. Right? Invest energy in that which is not yet happening, which is us responding lovingly to him. That's the only thing that may be lacking, not from his part. So yeah, that's an important point. Thank you.
I have a
Yes.
question. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your
My pleasure.
comments.
What's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine.
I have a question. So you were talking about Pratishta being one of the anatas, so the need for certainty and predictability. I'm at a phase of my spiritual life right now. I don't really have like a steadiness, like not so much having that. So and then that brings like suffering to the mind, like distress, and I'm like, oh Krishna, why haven't I got that yet? And I've been searching for that for a long time, I feel. How would one deal with that? Because it seems to be coming from the sense of putting myself in the center again, having this desire to control the situation, or it's very self-focused. So I don't know how to manage this, because it seems like it's kind of material and it's spiritual, because it's like a desire to have that, if that makes sense.
Clarify a little bit more.
How do I clarify? So how does one deal with the anatta, the anatta of Pratishta, so wanting certainty in their spiritual life, when they're currently not really, they didn't really have that externally, but they still have that desire. So I don't know if I can word it out.
Could you use the word I instead of they? Because that would help me understand like what you're feeling.
So I don't know if I can word it out.
It's coming. I mean, the first part was clear that okay,
Yeah.
Pratishta, desire for certainty, how to deal with that, and then the elaboration of that I wanted a little bit more. I think I understood, but I just want to gain clarity so I'm not responding to a question that I thought you made and it was something else.
Okay. So, well, just the first bit then, like how to deal with how to deal with that desire, because it seems to be mixed. Like it's spiritual because it's like I want spiritual association, which is predictable, reliable, steady. That's a real desire. But so it's spiritual in that sense, because it's a desire for spiritual sangha. However, it's material in the sense that it's like from me wanting things to be different, and it's causing like suffering, which is material things. So it's a spiritual and material. So how would a practitioner of Bhakti Yoga like deal with that situation?
Okay, thank you. Well, as usual, a few first things that I always say qualify my answer in this case is, of course, we are getting to know each other for a few minutes so far, so I can't give an ultra specified answer because I don't know you basically, right? So I will reply generally, trusting that not only you, but all of us, because we are all in that journey, just in case you are not alone. All of us can apply that to our own unique, specific case, right? So I will say some ideas, and again, as I say, you are not alone in that, which I think is important to know, because sometimes in that complexity of the journey, we may think, oh, I'm having this problem. And we lose sight that everyone else is having the same problem, probably, in one degree or another. So we over-isolate ourselves, thinking, I am having this problem. And that makes the problem real problematic. When you isolate yourself as, it's only me having this problem, then you feel very alone, very lonely. So many times we need spaces like this to acknowledge, oh, Catherine, you are not alone. I'm also having that problem in my own way, and he's having probably that same problem in his own way. And I don't want here to make it a public confession, but probably all of us will raise their hands and say, yeah, we know what she's talking about. We know that one. Welcome to the uncertainty club. So I think that's important also. So we normalize these experiences. Now, because many times we may feel, oh, this is a symptom that something is going wrong. I must be doing something wrong, and that's why this happened. This shouldn't be happening. If I will be a good devotee, I don't know, whatever blah 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 comes in our and many times it's no, that at least for some part of the journey, that has to happen. For some part of your journey, that will be the norm. Not to say that's great and remain there forever, but also to gain some acceptance of this is part of the landscape in this part of the journey. Like I always like to refer to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's book called Madhurya Kadambini, where he explores the symptoms of the different stages in the journey, spiritual journey. And when he describes the stage in which most practitioners are, which is called unstable engagement in bhakti, anishtita bhajana kriya, ups and downs. He describes that with different symptoms: initial enthusiasm, honeymoon period, and then like landing back on earth and realizing, oh, okay, there's still the stuff that I was carrying before my initial enthusiasm is still there. Now I'm gaining some gifts and insight and knowledge, but it's not that I have transcended everything. Oh, so my initial enthusiasm now becomes a little bit not so enthusiastic, so to say. And then I have struggles and struggling with desires and difficulty in keeping my vows. That's how he describes the symptoms, right? Anyhow, all of these symptoms may feel embarrassing, but he's describing them as a symptom that you are practicing bhakti, as a confirmation of the journey, right? In other words, he's saying the fact that you are feeling all the things, as embarrassing as they are, is confirming that you are on the path of bhakti. The unstable chapter of it, but still is a path of bhakti. So there's something glorious about that. You follow my point?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that to say remain there forever, relax, Catherine, that's fine. But also to accept that, okay, this indirectly is beautiful and glorious because it's confirming that it's part of the ups and downs and struggles of being on the path. So the main thing here is you are on the path, not so much that's happening or not, because that will be happening in certain stage, not forever, but in certain stage. So I think it's good to, how to say, to gain acceptance of that, because if not, we start to fight with that. Like, this shouldn't be happening, why this is happening, I must be doing something wrong, I'm so bad. And that, then it becomes even worse. It becomes more miserable. So, and we could avoid all that by understanding, oh, no, this, I don't know, speaking about Pratishtha, okay, this difficulty in coexisting with uncertainty and wanting things to be more predictable. Yeah, I'm having difficulty. Yeah, of course. You will have a difficulty at that stage of the journey. It's normal. It's not the ultimate goal, but by the stage you may be, and again, I don't know you, but probably it's part of the journey, it's normal that that's happening. Follow my point?
Yeah, how long does it last?
Sorry?
How long does it last for?
Well, first you need to accept that it's normal. Because again, I don't know how much acceptance you have developed with that stage, but I think it's, if we do not accept that, we are making that even longer.
Right. So the acceptance makes it easier to like move through it.
Yeah, like suffering comes to your life. You mentioned the word suffering. I mean, whether related to this or to anything. I mean, suffering comes, knocks your door. It's not that we are calling for suffering. We are not masochists, but it will come. Difficult situation, pain, suffering. And we need to sit with suffering. Suffering is not something that whenever it comes, like, get away from here as soon as possible. I don't want to see your face anymore. The more you do that, the more suffering will increase. Right? Try it. I mean, don't try it. Probably we already tried, and that's how it works. So the more pain and suffering and complexity comes to your life, the more you're in denial of that, the more the bigger the dragon becomes. And the more you learn to confront the dragon and to sit with suffering and to learn to integrate that and to allow that to be part of your life and to learn and to give you a lesson. When you learn the lesson, when you first accepted the guest, the uninvited guest, pain, suffering, whatever, you accept that, okay, this is happening, I don't need to fight it, to deny it, to resist it, but to, okay, what's the lesson here? What's trying to tell me? What do I have to learn here? And the more you do that, the more that becomes integrated and the suffering takes a particular shape that enriches your life, makes you more nuanced, more sensitive. You follow my point?
Yeah,
so
it's hard though. Like
I never said it will be easy.
I was thinking then as well, like the uninvited guest could also be like an uninvited like teacher to move through and please
befriend your pain, befriend your suffering, befriend your whatever unsettles you. And I'm not talking only to you, of course, it's for all. Because if something makes us suffer, it's not the thing it's in it unto itself. That's just like a trigger. So the real question is why this makes me suffer. What's this reflecting back into me? Because in a particular situation, you may be suffering and the other person next to you is not suffering. So is that the situation is inherently made of suffering, or is that there's something in me that comes to the surface in that situation, and there's an in suffering that I need to address in my heart? And I'm not saying it's easy. I will never use the word easy. But it's not impossible either. Because sometimes we go, if it's not easy, impossible. And we may feel sometimes, wow, it is impossible. And it may be impossible for us by ourselves. And that's why we need to take shelter also in the divine and in grace and mercy and people that may help us also.
Yeah. So
that's also important, to do our part as much as we can, but also to know there's a part in this that I cannot get it by myself. So I need grace, I need shelter, I need help. So, and it's a gradual process, right? And it will take as long as it needs to take. Because again, if we become too, because you were asking me how long will it take, that in itself is a symptom of trying to control and calculate. So it's a way of perpetrating this same thing I want to get rid of. Right?
Yeah.
I want to get rid of this addiction to certainty. When will it happen? Oh, that's and it's okay again. I mean, don't feel embarrassed by that. It's how it works for all of us. So it's good that we can see it. It's good that we can laugh about it. And again, it's important that we can learn to trust the unfolding of these processes. And if I'm sincere, if I have good company, if I trust God's, Krishna's grace, that's it. That's important. Everything else is, I don't know, I don't care. How long will it last? I don't know. Whatever it needs to last for me to learn my lesson. It's not that I want it to last as less as possible. I want it to last as long as it needs to last for me to get the lesson. Because I want to grow, I want to learn to love. So I may need to go through some lessons. Some of them may be shorter, some of them may seem that they never end. But let's be honest, if you look back when we have gone through the most difficult situations, it's not that lasts forever. In the moment it may feel like, oh, this is never ending. But it ends. Of course, it takes us to a new situation and a new invitation. So I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, it is helpful. Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah, I'm just thinking that like if that's part of the reason why I think there's that desire for more predictable Sangha, I suppose, because it would help, because I've got an issue currently going on, and I think that would help me deal with that issue.
Yeah.
But then, yeah.
And of course, again, in that context, I don't want to interrupt, but it's not that by me speaking about be careful with not becoming addicted to certainty. I'm not saying live a full life of absolute uncertainty at every stage, because that's too much also, right? So I'm not against certainty. I'm just saying do not become toxically addicted to an excess of that.
Right.
We need some certainty. We need to know probably where we'll sleep tonight. We have food for lunch, some basic survival stuff. Because if not, it's too much. Like Prabhupada will himself say, if someone is, I don't know, starving, I cannot tell that person, okay, chant the name of Krishna deeply, or give me something to eat. No? That's a certainty I need to fulfill as a foundation. Then we can talk about other stuff. Yeah. So we need some certainty, and in terms of company, also hopefully of people that we know we can trust. We can, even if that association or sangha is, it doesn't need to be a big number. No, that's an important point, because Rupa Goswami, when he explains sadhu sangha, he says Swajatya Snigdasya Swatavara. Sadhu sangha needs to be with like-minded people, with people that you feel we are on the same page, we talk similar language, we are resonating, because that not always happens with everyone. And it's okay, I'm not saying it's a problem, but you need to find those that you find, okay, we are on similar frequency. Snigdasya is an extension of that. Snigdasya means affectionate. It has to be affectionate. You have to feel that. It has to be palpable, the affection in the interaction, the loving concern for each other. Like brothers and sisters, like family.
Because like past traumas could get in the way of that as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that links back to like the thing that you talked about earlier, and working on those things and not spiritually bypassing.
Yeah.
So
that's it. Yeah. And that's a good. We were talking about that recently in a retreat we had in Switzerland some weeks ago. We're talking a lot about, for example, vulnerability and the importance of being vulnerable and being honest with one another, but very naturally, well, but what if someone, I mean, you need to feel safe enough to do that. No? You need to feel this is a safe environment for me to show myself as I am without the risk of being abused or exploited or rejected, right? So that's what we talk. We talk as much as we like to talk about vulnerability and honesty and transparency and inner nakedness. First, we need to build safe space. And that's part of the healing of trauma, because of course if we come from a situation of some whatever, abuse, betrayal, you name it, it's maybe difficult to fully open ourselves immediately, to trust, to give ourselves, to be entirely vulnerable. So it's a process that takes to build safe space. It's a gradual process, okay? And to give the other person the experience of unconditional love. You are being unconditionally accepted. At the beginning, we may not believe that, because many times we have no clue what's that, right? As we talked about that yesterday. If I never experienced unconditional acceptance in my life, I don't know what's that. I don't have a point of reference. So when someone shows that to me, in the beginning, I may be afraid of that probably, or I may think like, what's behind that? That person seems too nice to me. What's the hidden agenda? Because maybe in the past that was our only point of reference. And it's okay, we cannot chastise ourselves for feeling like that. It's like a defense mechanism, survival instinct. It's unconscious, it's coming. But we should, at the same time, there is something in us that needs to experience real unconditional love, right? Real belonging. So if we continue to expose ourselves to that, then okay, in the beginning it's like, okay, these people are too nice. What's behind that? No? Well, I will come to a second meeting, so to say. And then I realized, oh, still nice, and still nothing tragic has happened. Okay. So somehow you start to gradually rebuild your your nervous system and reopen yourself to, okay, there's hope for something good going on in my life. There is some light at the end of the tunnel. There is possible to be accepted unconditional, and it's a gradual opening, right? I may start to open myself 0.1% to that sangha, let's say, or to that person. Oh, still there is no abuse coming. Okay, tomorrow 0.2%. I'm not saying 100%. That may take years, and it's okay. But I think we should start somewhere, wherever we are, of course. And of course, we have to discern about the association we look for. Again, we shouldn't be like blindly being entirely vulnerable to someone and don't have a clue who that person is. Even if the person is very nice, but it has to be a gradual process of unfolding, because being vulnerable to someone is, and I use a very graphic example here, it's like undressing yourself in front of that person. Eventually being entirely naked. How willing we are to be entirely naked in front of someone. In general, it's like, oh, that, no. So you need to trust that person to a degree that you can be entirely naked in front of them, and there's no danger. And not only there's no danger, there is empowerment, nourishment, protection, inspiration, intimacy, connection, love. Again, it's not only there's no negative stuff, there's filled with positive. So to reach that point, that may take some time. So we may need to gradually undress ourselves, following this analogy, in a very natural process that feels safe for us. And what feels safe for us, it's different for every person, right? Like we were talking the other day also, like if we are now talking and sharing, I like many times personally to do this, they call circle sharing. I'm just sitting in a circle and everyone's expressing how they feel and learning to receive each other unconditionally, hopefully, without judgment, trying to, and we receive what we are sharing. But again, you have to feel safe enough to do that. And I cannot tell anyone, guys, this is a safe space. I cannot decide that for you. That will come when you feel that's the case. I cannot just tell you. If I tell you, that may create the opposite of that. This safe space, okay? We feel safe, trust, say everything is safe. Probably all of you are freaking out and want to run away at that point. No. But if I don't need to say that, but it's demonstrated quietly, deeply, and you will reach that point like, yeah, I feel it, I choose it. On some level, oh, something nice coming, opening more. So yeah, we need that certainty. Going back to certainty, we need to have those relationships in our life that we know. Someone was telling the other day, some people call that the 3 a.m. friends. 3 a.m. friends. Like people that you can call at 3 a.m. and they are there for you fully. No, it's not like 3 a.m. What are you doing calling me at this time? I'm sleeping. No, I'm there for you unconditionally. It's a way of putting the idea. It's a certainty in a way. It's like in the midst of a sea of uncertainty, we need that anchor, that certainty. There's a Christian author, a mystic, I will say Henry Nouwen, and he will say, speaking about God's unconditional love, he said he was very much into you are loved, you are infinitely beloved by God. He will say that's the only certainty we have. God loves you unconditionally. Everything else is uncertain. Like implying everything else can happen, but that's a given. So we need that certainty. We need to hold on deeply into you're already loved by God, and of course, hopefully, having relationships with other people that mirror that love. So that's our certainty. Everything else, I don't have a clue what will happen, to be honest. Because we wake up on today and we have our agenda, our plans, but at the end of the day, you never will go back and, yeah, the day happened exactly as I planned. Never. But still, there is that certainty we can hold on to. You know? There is something called unconditional love, and we need that certainty. Because without that, the world becomes so dangerous, and we become, what do we become? If we are not already loved and accepted, life becomes so exhausting because everything becomes like a performance, trying to earn love, to deserve, to impress, to be someone. It's like, oof, that's so exhausting. Like we were the other day reading a poem by another Sufi mystic Hafiz, and he will say, he will welcome the soul after this long, exhausting journey and say, please sit down, take a breath, take some rest. I will prepare something for you to drink. You have been trying to live a life of separateness from God for so long time. That must be so exhausting. So take rest now. Again, that's for all of us. That's the love journey we're talking about. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad somehow I got to understand the question somehow. Thank you. We have a few minutes before the offering is coming from the altar. 2 or 3 more minutes. Something else someone would like to share? Anything? Can be a question, can be anything.
You know how you're saying if you're giving yourself to someone,
Yeah.
you have to heed the caveat.
You have to?
Be careful.
Yeah.
You know, in other words, you listen to your hunches, or that could be straight to Guru, who tell you that there's something wrong here, so you can back off and move somewhere else if necessary or whatever. You know, we're talking about, you know, when you're surrendering yourself to someone, you have to be very discriminating.
Yeah. That's why now the topic goes maybe in connection more to something more related to guru-disciple relationship or something, right? Surrendering to a guide and again, of course, Sanatana Goswami will say, ideally, guru-disciple, he will say that 500 years ago, guru-disciple should live with one another for 1 year before accepting each other. No? Like the point is, you have to get to know each other. No? Spend enough time before committing yourself in that way, right? Because, like I say, Prabhupada himself, he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his guru, but first time, but he got initiated by him 10 years after that. It's not that he was distrusting his guru, but he took his time. It's fine. You're getting to know each other. No? There's no like rush. And that's another conversation that we had the other day in Ireland, that sometimes there's this unfortunate emphasis that after a few months you need to get your guru. Who is your guru? When you are getting initiated, come on guys, where's your devotional name? It's time. And you end up doing that out of social pressure and out of fitting in and rushing, like if something that has to happen as soon as it's like, relax. Whenever the person is there, you will feel it. It has to be undeniable, and you may need to spend some time to confirm that, and sometimes you may not get that further confirmation, so you may need to wait more time, and of course in some cases even we may give our lives to someone in a relationship, whether it's a guru, whether it's even like a partnership, couple relationship. It's a surrendering of each other in its own way. Every relationship is a type of surrender. I mean, if I'm having, I don't know, a friend, we are supposed to surrender to, in love to the relationship. Every relationship invites for a type of surrender. But sometimes, of course, relationships start in a way and eventually they end up somewhere else also. So it's not like, okay, if I surrender at some point, I should continue to surrender forever. If the situation is not going in a healthy direction, we may need to GPS, recalculating. Right? And it may be painful and it may be bewildering, and sometimes we may be heartbroken and feel betrayed. Welcome to life. Okay? Sorry. I don't want to sound tragic, right? Like fatalistic, but those things happen also, right? That's not just thing everything will unpack in the most ideal way. I mean, I'm not saying tragedy will always be there either, but things will happen and we need to know how to continue navigating, or even when we don't know, at least have some support around us to continue. So yeah, discernment is always important, not to the point again of becoming cynical. I'm distrusting everyone, and it's always like waiting for the worst possible thing happening at every moment, which again, if we come from a situation of abuse or past trauma, that can be more easily the norm. We'll go into the negative outcome, and it's part of the journey. Again, we shouldn't hate ourselves if we see ourselves going to those patterns, but understand, okay, that's a clear symptom that something needs to be healed, so we can gradually open more and more. And even when tragedy happens, still not losing hope. I mean, there's beyond all possible tragedies, and I know, at least from those I know who are present in this room, I know a few of you who have gone through a few tragic chapters, and I include myself in that list with all of you, so we are together there. So how to nourish your life, so to say, allow yourself to be nourished by all that pain and suffering and bewilderment without becoming cynic, without becoming fatalistic, but also without becoming naive and like, I mean, you can no longer be naive after certain things. So then the possibilities that you go to the other side of the pendulum and you become like, okay, nobody's to trust here. At any moment the worst can happen, which also is another side of the same coin. So how to find a balance in between those two, right? And you can have discernment, not be naive, but also have hope and be open to love, as heartbroken as we may be. So as I like to call it, that integration of complexity, right? So many complex layers that need to find their place in the puzzle to make of each one of us a nuanced human being, with all the richness of allowing yourself to go through all those experiences and emotions and learning somehow to integrate all that and make all that part of the offering also that we want to offer to Krishna, right? All that's part of the offering. Krishna is not expecting someone who never went through any of that and everything is pure and perfect and paka. That doesn't exist. He doesn't wait for that because that's not possible. So he's just trusting that we will try to make all part of our journey and make all part of the offering, and he's willing to accept that. Okay, 1:35. But I'd rather Priya is raising her hand now. But we are transgressing the time you yourself proposed. But it's okay. She's transgressing her own established rules. So is the
So I already, it's the first time there's been a camera in here, and I said on the phone this morning, I'll give up my rules because love is the rule, right? But I wanted to share because what you're talking about, where we're sitting now, this came about from a loss of my very, very beautiful son. And of course a mother can't be taken seriously when she says her son's amazing, but he was actually my guide as well as my son, many people's guide. I spent about a year I didn't speak. I mean, people would speak to me, but I had nothing to come back. And I didn't run to the name. I just stayed with the impossible. That's everything I could do to stay with the impossible. And there's a little Buddha out there. He helped me. He's my friend in sorrow, because he just stays with the impossible by doing nothing. And in that space, over many months, by grace, by, I don't know, previous activity that we've done, then my guru's words were coming in like the only thing that made sense. And the holy name, I experienced the holy name as being a person of its own accord, or his or her own accord, came into that space. Every morning my sadhana was just sitting, and then after 4 hours or something, the holy name began to come. And after some time I thought, how can I live, how can I come out of this back into functioning? And then I had an image of a temple, and I felt I couldn't go and live in the temples. They're not kind of like what we were. And so I thought the temple has to come here. And then over the next 6 years, so where we're sitting here is that which has come out of sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like my bridge back to others, and my invitation into,
Welcome back. Thank you for the beautiful analogy of think. Okay, it's foundations are sorrow, and you build a temple on the foundations of sorrow, right? That's a very powerful image for life. No, how through every sorrow and suffering, how to build a temple on top of that. Not on top like denying, but allowing that to be the roots and the foundation for the temple to emerge.
Yeah, it seems to build itself by trusting, by being honest, by allowing the feelings.
Yeah.
They become the material by which new realization, new love is born.
Can I just share that as you can see, I've not got my iron wire, it's not working. I've turned it off, in fact. While you were speaking, I just was contemplating and reflecting and thinking that this is possibly the most beautiful place I've ever been, to be fair. Not, apart from it being so unique, I can feel the warmth in here, and I can also feel the love that you were talking about. And I'm now stepping out of my comfort zone, and I thought, I've got to turn this off because I couldn't hear. And I'm so a little bit conscious of the sound of it, and it sounds really loud to me, and possibly to yourselves as well. But felt I could turn it off. Normally I get anxious if I've not got this with me. And normally I wouldn't have turned it off. But I do feel safe in here with people. And I've never met you guys before, apart from my brother Ramprasad, who can't hear this machine, by the way, because he's deaf. So it doesn't get on his nerves.
You're a good pair.
But Mataji, this is a beautiful, beautiful space, and thank you for inviting us along.
I'm so pleased. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for making it more beautiful with your words now and your presence.
Yeah.
You continue to
being so
beautify the
brave.
beautiful places. Each one of you is like a flower petal ornamenting.
Beauty's contagious.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember always this quote from Dostoevsky. Suddenly I'm going to another point of reference. That you have this phrase saying beauty will save the world. So, in context of what we are talking now, right? Yeah. Okay.
I was going to offer arti, but not 100% necessary
Okay.
because of timing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just offer flowers. Yeah, is that okay? So
Yeah.
we can open the curtain and offer
We can sing for
flowers.
5 more minutes.
Yeah,
to-
Sing to.
Yeah.
Sing. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Because
Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai, Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai, Sadhu Sangha ki jai, Gaur Premanand.